But the good news is that this is not our home. The bad news is that we're still here for a little while, and while we are, it seems to be quite a mess. But we must not let the sorrow of our present condition disturb our peace. We are strangers in a strange land, but we have always been that. The world is not our home, and perhaps one of the first and immediate fruits of recent events is that we realize now in a much more dramatic way that this world is not our home. How different we are from the rest of the world. What is the benefit of realizing such a thing? Why is it important that we have this point driven home to us, that we are strangers in a strange land? Well, so that we can function better in it. Imagine you're walking through green pastures on a beautiful sunny day. You can see for miles. There's no one around, not even a cloud in the sky. You're going to be pretty relaxed under those conditions, letting your mind wander, just being at ease. Your defenses are down. You can't even imagine real trouble right then. You're behaving in a way that is fitting to your surroundings. But imagine now quite the opposite. You're in a big, dark city at night. You've never been there before. And it's very dark. You can't even tell if it's a good part of town or not. But the sounds and the smells give you a sense that you need to be very alert, to be on your guard. When you're in a dangerous place, you behave differently. It's helpful to see what a dangerous place we're in so that we can behave accordingly. And we've just had a good reminder of that. Then you hear voices in the city. It's not just one language you don't understand, but it's many languages that you don't understand. Imagine the confusion. Nobody seems to be very open about their actions. They're all sneaky and secretive. You peek into one doorway that sounds like something positive might be going on there, and there are people laughing and speaking your language, and it's bright. But then you realize that absolutely everyone you see is doing something wrong. Every kind of immorality is going on right there in front of everyone, and not a single person seems to be ashamed. So you close the door and go back outside, because at least out there people act like they're doing wrong when they're doing wrong. But still, everywhere that they're doing wrong, they invite you to join in. Some are obviously doing things wrong, some are less obvious. But they want you to join. Some are easier to say no to than others. And then imagine wandering day after day in such a world, growing more and more weary, always on guard, always at alert. Well, it does not take a genius to figure out where things are these days. The sun ain't shining and the birds ain't singing. But this is not our home. We're not made for this world. We belong to a much greater society where the leaders can be trusted. In fact, they cannot be wrong, nor even make a mistake. They cannot lie, nor act selfishly, nor act wickedly, even by accident. We're not there yet. We're on our journey to that place. And as strangers in a strange land, we have to be careful until we arrive. For behold, says the Master, I send you as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpent and simple as doves. Remain unspotted and have no part with this strange land and its strange ways. Be always on guard. Turn your thoughts often, very often, to your homeland and to its king and to the happy citizens who dwell there already, waiting for us. And those who are no longer here and yet have not yet arrived at their final destination. Read books that speak of these things and of virtue and not vice. Listen to music which inclines us towards heaven and not more towards this strange land and its strange ways. As we travel through this world, we need to be always on guard, because our adversary, says St. Peter, goes about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. This world is not our home. We cannot be compromisers with it. We cannot say, I will go this far down this road, but I will not turn into your yard. We cannot say, I will sit on the porch with you, but I will not go into the house. It is good to be reminded of the difference between ourselves and the world, as we were reminded this past week. But it is nothing new. We have always heard this. But perhaps we became complacent. So it's a blessing now to witness the events which point out the truth to us, even if that truth is painful and sad, because now we can start again to act according to the world in which we live. And it's time to check ourselves. Is the environment that we create in our own homes most like that environment in our distant homeland, so that we learn to love the things of our homeland and to long for them, so that we are reminded of the joys for which we live and wait, so that we can find rest from this strange land in which we live. We are part of a greater society, and our homes have to reflect this, because this world is not our home. We must do all that we can to make it as much like our home as possible, but we may not compromise. Our home is too good for that. No good there can be lessened to allow for any of what passes for good in this strange land. And in this strange land, we are not alone. This great society of which we are a part, which is itself greater than any state or nation, is not of this world. It transcends states and nations and encompasses them. Yet it is not of this world. And this greatest of all societies is, of course, the Church. By being members of the Church, which God Himself founded and leads, we are part of the communion of saints. This is our society, and this is how we must behave in this world. This is why we must always be vigilant. We may no longer consider ourselves residents here if being resident means that we embrace what the world embraces. We are pilgrims, we are sojourners. Those of us yet not home are exiles, but we are exiles together and bound to our fellow countrymen wherever they are. In other words, we can support and be supported by each other on earth through our prayers, our good example, and the graces that we earn. We can keep each other alive. We can keep each other strong. We can encourage each other on the march towards eternity. We can bind each other's wounds and protect each other. And we need each other now more than ever. The Council of Trent states that the principle by which we are all united within the communion of saints, it says, every pious and holy action done by one belongs and is profitable to all, through charity which seeketh not her own. Every pious and holy action done by one belongs and is profitable to all. It is one mystical body. Is it not wonderful that we belong to this society, this communion of saints? Because this world is not our home. We are strangers in a strange land. And thank God that recent events have made that evidently clear to us. We must not let the fortune and misfortune of this life determine our happiness here or hereafter. We are saints and made to live forever in heaven. Do not be disheartened by the world we live in now, by the things we see around us, even by the things which happen to us as a result of living in this exile. We have the whole communion of saints to rely on, and we are not alone in this strange land. And so live with that thought, the desire and the intention that in all our actions we are moving closer to heaven. For that is our destination, that is our home, and because of that, we are called saints. One of my favorite pieces of literature, and I think this year especially so, as our country resembles less and less the home for which we long. From Mr. Blue by Miles Connelly. It points out the futility of the ways of the world and reminds us of what really matters. When the day comes and the sky is emptied of stars and the sun is black and the distraught winds have only the void for their lament, I am sure that somewhere men will be merry together. Somewhere good hearts will greet good hearts, and somewhere our dreams of unbroken love and good talk and laughter will have come true. This is a glorious somewhere, and it is far nearer to us than the stars. There Our Lady talks of children to unknown mothers who taught their many children the love of her single son. There St. Joseph is a man among peasants. There Xavier is home from his wars, and there Suarez and Aquinas have their arguments out. There Thomas More swaps jests with the older Teresa, while younger Therese gathers her roses. There St. George boasts of his conquest of the dragon, and mayhap the good thief listens, or mayhap he hears little St. Francis singing his songs. It is a good place, this somewhere. It has been called paradise. It has been called the tavern at the end of the world, and it has been called home. It is only Catholicism that would ever allow the like of me to hope someday to be there. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, amen.